I might get, I'll just do a mute all and hop straight into some playing. Let's start off with, I've made a plan. We're going to start off with the blues. And I've got a blues worksheet for you all. It's the new one. It's called Blues Workshop 201. I'm going to share it with you right now. Is that it? It looks a bit weird on my screen. Share computer sound. Here we go. Okay. So that's what this one looks like. When I share the screen, guys, if you don't know about side by side, up near where there's a little line saying there's a screen sharing happening, there's a drop down menu, and in there you can choose to go side by side. If you go side by side, you'll get what I'm sharing and also me, and you can move the middle slider around so you can make me as big as you want me to be. That's a new discovery today. The other thing I wanted to check in, I'll see if I can find a way to look at the chat. I've got a new setup here with my backing tracks and what's playing with what sound and microphones and things. So I'm going to play a little bit through the sheet, and then I'm going to come off screen share and just make sure everything's working. Righto. So first up, we've got a bit of a review from the previous warm-up courses. We've got a C minor pentatonic scale. I'm going to start talking theory right now for the people who are ready for it in the group, but feel free to just let it wash over you. If it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't need to mean anything at this point. So we're starting on the flat 7 on this little C minor pentatonic scale. Let's just all play that together. The numbers in the circles are the C notes, so they're home. They're really important notes to make sure you're aware where they are when you're playing through the scale. After that, we've got doubles, so it's time to start to do some patterns on the scale. We're just going to play these in our own time a couple of times each. So with the doubles, if you're playing with a pick, down, up, down, up, down, up. Then you can reverse it. Now I'm going to stop screen sharing for a sec and just get a check in. Can you hear me okay? Thumbs up. Balance between, yes. Balance between voice and ukulele.
Jen, can I hear you well? But one of the things, I'm not being pedantic, but when you called it a blues worksheet, you've actually got written on the sheet blues and scales 201.
Yes.
And I'm finding that a little bit confusing. You're calling it one thing, and unless I can see what page you're using, there's actually another thing written on the sheet.
Okay, I will rename them during the week, Judith.
The heading, yeah, that will help me and everybody, I would assume, to file it all in our books so we can.
I'll do that. I will.
Thank you.
Change the name of that. Okay.
Thanks.
No worries at all. So was that okay for the balance between my voice and the ukulele? Yep, great. Okay, back to screen share. Here we go. Right. Okie dokie. Next up, we're going to be playing in threes. Now, we've done a lot of work with this, and Anu's worked a lot with this in the warm-ups. These are little groups of 3. So you take 3 steps up the scale, then you go back 1 and take 3 steps up again. I'll start again from the beginning. Just at your own speed, play your way through it. You don't have to match my speed. When you get to the top, we turn around and we'll come backwards. You'll notice when you get to the end of that one that I come back to a C note at the end, which is really cool because we're going to make a riff out of this in a second. Next up, we've got fours. So this one's really cool for using when you're soloing. What we're going to do is just play it through slowly once, and then we'll pick up on it again next week. So we're not going to do a lot of work on that at the moment. We'll just make sure we're aware of what the sound is. Here we go. So at your own pace. Cool. So for some of you, that would be way too hard to do at anywhere near that speed. And it's fine just when you're at home on your own, just go nice and slowly. Just think about how you're going 4 steps up the scale, and then you go back to the second step and go 4 steps up the scale, and just work it through nice and slowly. What we're going to do now is have a little bit of a play in the threes. You can see on the screen share that I've done a little bit of blue and red highlighting. I'm going to pop a backing track on now and give you a demonstration of how you can practice doing this exercise and make it sound a bit like something you could use in a solo straight away. I'm going to make it a little bit slower. Oh, hang on, I'm on Sweet Sue. Just keep having a bit of a practice on that. Blues for Ike. Here we go. I'll make it nice and slow. I'll bring it down to 80 BPM. And I've got 4 or 5 of you on my screen at the moment. When you hear this backing track, can you put your thumb up or down depending on whether you like the volume or not? So thumbs up will mean, yep, it's okay. Thumbs down means we need you to change the volume. Okay, here we go. How does that sound? I've got a thumb up from Kath McCourt. We'll leave it at that for there. Good, great, okay. So with this lick, what we're going to do is starting where the blue line is, and we're going to start on the 6th fret on the A string, on the high string, and we're going to play it in reverse with this timing. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. So that's our timing for anything we play on the scale. And I'll give you a demo of what it's going to sound like. If it's a bit fast for you, you could just go on one note. You could just have a go at just playing a few extra notes on each one. That would be cool to do as well. Here's what the exercise is going to sound like. Just there, come out of screen share. Cool.
Sorry, Jen, but the backing track doesn't seem to be in sync with what you're playing.
Oh, has that happened again? Okay,
yeah.
Okay. I tested it with Terry just before and it was fine, but we were just improvising. So we probably didn't notice it so much. What I'm going to do is not use the backing track for a moment, and I'll get it going before 301 starts on my second computer, which is what I ended up doing in the session. Sorry, folks.
That's true for everybody, though, because that seemed fine to me.
It was okay on mine also.
Yeah.
I've got a question, Jen. Is it to help me? I think I heard you say that you're going to have it so that it's recorded later, that we can hear what we've done.
Yeah.
So I can just relax, because I noticed I was thinking I'll record that so I can remember what you've done with my ear. But if you're sending us a recording, that'll be better.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
I'll wait till you send it.
Yeah. Don't feel like you have to be involved in everything. You know, I'm aware that if there's a few people here that haven't been in the warm-up sessions. So the idea is that you kind of play what you can, because we've got so many people in the room at so many different levels.
It's awesome. I loved it. I just thought to remind myself to practice it, but I'll get that Dropbox thing.
Sure, Vivian, no worries. I'll make sure that the link goes out to everybody. Okay, so, well, what I might do is go back to the screen share now and talk through the rest of the sheet. I've got a cat in the way. She's trying to get in my lap with my ukulele.
Jen, we're finding it hard to hear you still. We can hear other people really well, but you are a bit faint. And the other thing is that sheet that you showed us, I didn't find that on the website.
Did you see the link through from the email that was sent yesterday?
Yes, and I didn't find it there, but maybe I just missed it.
Do you know what? There were two emails. So one went out on Thursday night, and it had been left off it. So the one that went out on Friday, that was the only sheet that got left off.
Okay, all right.
So the link is now on the one that went out on Friday.
Okay, all right, great.
Okay, so I've got to, hang on, I've got a cat. Alrighty. So sorry, my sound's a bit different. I tried to be a little bit more organised, and I've got a microphone set up, but and we did actually test it about an hour ago. So I'll bring it in a little bit closer to me. Do I sound louder now? Yeah. Okay. I'll just get in closer to my microphone. Okie dokie. So guys, as far as all the questions go, if you pop them in the chat, I'll download the chat afterwards, and I will answer the questions during the week, and then we'll email them out during the week, or we can talk about them more on Thursday. Thursday's a bit more Q&A. So yeah, feel free to put any questions you have in the chat, and we'll get back to them after the session and answer everything for you that we can. And back to the screen share for the blues. Here we go. Okie dokie. So this ties together some of the things from the warm-up session. So on my tips for playing scales that is on the website somewhere, I have it's a wordy document. I have some suggestions for how you play scales, and this is an example of how you would go through it. So with the C minor pentatonic scale, an example of doubles, an example of playing it in groups of 3, an example in groups of 4. So this is just a nice little reference that ties together a bunch of ideas we've been working on for about a month. Then we've got our C minor blues pentatonic. So when we say we're playing a blues pentatonic scale, we're playing the C minor pentatonic, but we're just adding in a note that's called the flat 5. And once again, you can let that wash over if that doesn't mean anything, and just play it and enjoy the sound. Let's have a go at just playing that up and down a couple of times in our own time. There's that blues note. Immediately it sounds really bluesy and less scaly because it's got that lovely note in it. Now you can put your patterns of 3s and 4s over the blues scale as well, but they're probably easier to do just on the straight minor pentatonic, the one at the top that I've given the examples on. Next up on the sheet, I'll just make it bigger or smaller. There we go. Okay, here's an idea building on using embellishments on C Jam Blues. with a couple of little blues licks in the last 4 bars. So first of all, I'm going to give you a demo. I'm going to play it for you. So here's our key. So that's just our straight embellishments that we've been learning, neighbour tone below. Each one of those patterns goes for 2 bars. The next one on the F7, this is one of my suspend disbelief moments until a little later in the course, guys. We're actually going to play the C minor arpeggio. Over the F7 chord, and it gives a really cool bluesy sound. So when you're playing the blues, when you're on the C chord, you just play the C major arpeggio or little embellishment. When you get to the F7 chord, play C minor. And if that doesn't mean anything, just follow the tab along and play the sound. Then we're back into the C7 again. What I've done on the end now, instead of playing the G arpeggio, which is what we were doing in the exercises in the warm-ups, I've created a rhythmic lick on the minor pentatonic scale that is really quite cool and follows the same rhythm. And then there's this cute little thing on the end where there's a quarter there, like a little quarter fraction with a little slur. That means a quarter bend. So all you do is you just drag on the string like it's hurting a bit, or you're making your uke hurt a bit. And then you resolve that little bend to the 5th fret on the same string, and there's a wiggly line over that. That means vibrato. So shake the string up and down. So little quarter bend, a little bit of a shake. So we're starting to learn what I call articulations, or little groovy things that you can do to make the sound of the notes come alive. Once we've done that little lick, then we play for 2 bars of C7. This little lick here, which is also one of my ending ideas from the warm-up course. So I've actually taken the ending idea and thought, it sounds so cool, let's just play it in the course. So there's a lot to practice in that, guys. It's not all to master today. These are things that we're going to be working on over the 4 or 5 weeks of the course. We'll be coming back to this sheet. So depending what level you're at, you might want to just work on the doubles on the scale and have a go at just playing slowly through that major minor third idea that I've written. But find your own place in the chart. If you're not sure where your place is, send me an email and, I can always give you directions. If you don't have my email, I think most of you do, but if you don't, it's jensmusicschool@hotmail.com. To finish off this page, I might just play that major minor third idea so it's on the recording of the session for you and you can listen or jam along in the background. So I'm going to put the backing track on. This is also a good test for me. I can listen later and see if I'm actually in sync on my end, where the glitches are happening. So I'll start up the backing track and then I will play the major minor third idea. There you go. I'll stop sharing. So that's our blues jam for today. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there for you guys to work on during the week. And I'm just going to put my email up in the chat to everyone. There we go.
For the C Jam Blues backing track, won't it?
Sorry?
Can we do that on the C Jam Blues backing track?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's what I was just playing it over.
Yes, great.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, guys. So yeah, the CJAM Blues backing track is up on the website. So if you play that, you can practice this along with it. Thanks, Anu. That's a really good thing to remind everyone of. So I want to read the chat, but I'm going to stop myself from doing it so we can keep moving. Next up is, hey, Anu, what did you do on Minor Swing this morning?
We did the basic triads. We did A minor, D minor, and E triad, and we put them together in a little backing track, and we played them to the minor swing very slow track.
Great.
So we played the intro and outro riffs as well as the structure.
Cool. Did you do anything on Tracy's sheet?
That's what's on the front of the video. Just that first 16 measures is what's on the front of the backing track video.
Okay, no worries. Excellent. Thanks, Anu. Okay, I'll share this one then. This is GJ Boot Camp Day 1 Minor Swing for Uke. I'm going to share this one now. Okie dokie. So, Tracy Kim is our mentor and Papa Bear of all things jazz ukulele over in America. I spoke to him during the week and we have permission to use some of his resources. So if you see them there, don't feel like we're misappropriating. It's okay. He said it's fine for us to use them. And, you know, and in return, you know, I'm promoting him and what he's doing over there in America. So yeah, just go check out his Patreon page or his YouTube channel. He puts lots of stuff up for free. So this is designed to get you into the embellishment method for minor swing. The first route you've already done this morning with Anu, so I'm going to just skip down a little bit and go to the second route. Wherever you see a double bar line, it's a different exercise starting that's got a little bit more complication in it. In the warm-up course, we've done a lot of neighbour tone below. So I might just play that through once. I'm not going to use the backing track till we take our break in about 20 minutes because I'm a bit worried that things aren't syncing. So we're just going to play it through. There's our key. So it will sound like this. If you're on a high G ukulele, just bounce back up to the second string if you like. You can always do it that way. That's on the A minor chord. On the D minor chord, you'll notice those notes on the fourth string. I'm not keeping to the first and second finger rule. Whatever finger is handy can play that note, that slow note that lands up on the fourth string. And then on the E triad, hang on, I've got some little strange highlight going on. There we go. And then on the A minor again. So they're the different ones that you get to use in this exercise. Anu, did you do the neighbour tone below this morning? No, okay, alrighty. So I'm going to play this through once and then we'll go on to neighbour tone above, which is what I'd love you all to start practicing during the week. So on neighbour tone below. With the neighbour tone below, for the people who haven't been in the warm-ups, it's always 1 fret below. The actual chord shape that we're working around is 5, 4, 5, 3. So we're playing this little chord. Anu's taken you through it with one finger this morning, I imagine. Then to start to embellish it, we put our second finger on the note that's actually in the chord and bounce 1 below. Let's try it on the D minor now. On the 5th fret. then for the E7, we're only playing an E triad embellishment here. We're not playing the 7th note yet. That's for later on. And then back to A minor, 3rd fret. Now we're going to D minor at the 5th fret. Back to A minor. And our last E. And one more A minor. So that's the neighbour tone below. If that's new to you or a little bit difficult, you can practice on that one during the week. If you're feeling comfortable with that, even if it's at a slow pace, you're ready to go on to neighbour tone above, which I'd love to spend a lot of time with over the next few weeks. So for neighbour tone above, there's a couple of little rules that apply. I think for today, we might just play it and enjoy the sound, and we'll talk more about the rules on Thursday, about whether it's a half step or a whole step above. So with the A minor, they're all going to be a whole step above, and the same with the D minor. So let's play through these now. We've got the same basic chord shape, but now we're playing from a whole step above. And because they're a whole step above, I'm choosing to use my 3rd and my 1st fingers. So I start on my 3rd finger. That pattern covers 2 bars. Then for the D minor, we come up to the 7th fret. This last one here, you have to jump to the 9th fret, down to the 7th. Then for the E7 or the E arpeggio, on the E7 chord, they're all going to be a half step above. So our actual chord is 4, 4, 2, or if we want to take it from the 4th string, 4, 4, 4, 2, you'll recognize that as like a little E chord. So in order to play our little embellishment on it, we go 3, 2, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4. I'll do that again. And then we're back to A minor. So guys, when you're playing this one, see if you can visualize where those little triad chord shapes are. So as you're playing, try and see the actual chord that's built on it underneath in your mind. So it's like it'll be like little LED lights going off on your fretboard while you're playing it. I'm going to hop out of that one now. So that's that sheet. It gives you some information on how to play it. And today's a bit of an introduction to the worksheets that we're going to be using through the course. Now let's have a little bit of a peek at Sweet Sue. The sheet that we're going to use, I hope this one's not labelled badly as well. It probably is, so I apologise in advance, and I'll fix it somehow during the week. Or not, although that will confuse everyone more, won't it? Anyway, we'll talk about that during the week, how to be a bit more consistent. We might get better going forward. Alrighty, so this one is called Sweet Sue Worksheet 201 Jen, and actually on the sheet it's called Sweet Sue 201. So I was a little bit closer with my labelling that time. I'm going to screen share now. Okie dokie, here it comes. Alrighty. So once again, there's a little bit of information on this page. It's designed as a worksheet for 2 or 3 weeks. Some of it's a little bit dense and some of it's easy to play today. First up at the top, we've got a G major scale. If you've got a low G, look, if you don't have a low G, it will jump octaves. basically. But you could just start playing it from the third string. You actually get a Mixolydian scale when you do that, but hey, we're not doing modes today. So let's just all play that G scale at our own speed, up and down a couple of times. When we play our scales, we usually try and keep our pick alternating, or if we're using our fingers alternating. It's really handy on your scales for your lead playing to play them the opposite way. You know, we always tend to start on the low string and go up and come back down. It's a really good habit to get into sometimes, to start at the opposite end, and that will sound like this. I like to also come back down and finish on an actual G note. They're the ones in the circles. So your ear gets used to hearing the key that you're in. And you can even play yourself a chord at the end. Just a folk G or something, just to sync your ear to the sound of the scale that you're playing, because we're going to be making music out of this. And we do want to get off the page and into the sound eventually as well, when we feel a little bit more secure. Next up, I've got some information about a chord tone scale. I think this is more 301, this little section of it, but just to save having hundreds of pieces of paper, I've put them on it all on here. I'm going to talk it through really, really quickly. Once again, if it doesn't mean anything to you, just let it wash over you and you can practice your scale. So very, very quickly, a chord tone scale is just a fancy way of describing the chords that live with each note of the scale. It's musical gobbledygook for it, really. So the scale is labelled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G is the G major scale. You can use notes from within that scale to build little chords on each note. And if you do that, there's a pattern that arises and is the same for every major scale. So you learn it once and then you just get to apply it over and over and over again. The first one is major, 2 and 3 are minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, E is minor, 7 is weird. It's a diminished one. We just hop over that for the moment. And 8 is the same as 1. So you can always reverse those in your mind. Now that's just talking about them as little 3-note chords. If you take them up to the 7th, you get major 7 for 1, then minor 7, major 7. The 5 is a dominant 7 chord, which we would just say is D7. Then you've got minor 7 flat 5, and back to major 7. So by the end of the course, you'll feel comfortable with that. I reckon it'll probably take about 4 weeks for that to feel at home inside you. So don't worry if that doesn't mean very much just yet. What I did want to point out for Sweet Sue is there's a very, very common progression in jazz and gypsy jazz, and it's called the 2-5-1 progression. So in the key of G, we take the A minor 7, that's our 2. For the 5, we take the D7, and the 1 is the G, or G major 7. So A minor 7, D7, G. Let me just bring up the Sweet Sue chart now. I'm just going to hop out of there and share this one. Okay, so with the Sweet Sue chart, there's a lot of 2-5s and 2-5-1s in this. So you've got A minor to D9, A minor 7 to D9, or D9, D7 is the same kind of thing. And then it goes to G. So when I'm looking at these charts, I'm going 2-5, 2-5-1. Little quick 2-5-1, and the B flat diminished is just a pretty little passing chord. That's how you would look at the whole section. When we're doing our embellishments, it's really hard to play a couple of notes on the A minor 7 and a couple of notes on the D9. So we just play the D embellishment over those whole 2 bars. I'm going to unscreen share that one now and go back to the playing page, which is my worksheet. Okie dokie. So when you're playing your embellishments, treat the 2 as a 5. I think that's what I was just saying. So also ignore any quick passing chords like that little B flat diminished we just saw. When it comes to playing the embellishments, we don't need to play those notes, especially not at this stage. So the name of the game is to simplify. And the 7ths we just play as plain triads. Just simplify, simplify, simplify. Okay. The little triad for the D7. I've only written 3 notes there. I probably should have written 4, but can you see we're on the second half of the page now. I've written 6, 5, 5. That's the little 3-note version. So if you're on a high G ukulele, you would just be playing those 3 strings. Then for the G, we're just using, for the top 3 strings, we're just using our folk G. If you're adding in the 4th string, you might want to write this on your chart if you've got a pen handy. Where I've written that little 6, 5, 5, you might want to add underneath the 6 a 7. So the postcode for the D shape, 7, 6, 5, 5. And for the G, 4, 2, 3, 2. 4, 2, 3, 2. I'm going to take a chance and play my backing track because it sounds so much better when you've got the chords underneath it. Sweet Sue. Is that the one? Which chart did I want to use? I'm going to tick. There we go, this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the backing track and give you a demonstration of what these little embellishments will sound like. I'm going to play the first 8 bars and then I'm going to stop and have a little chat. So if you feel like you can follow along on the tab, if you're up to, these are neighbour tone above ones, feel free to join me. If not, I'll stop in 8 bars and talk about some easier things we can do on it. Here comes the chart, the track, 3, 4. Here we go to the G. And again, G. I'll just stop it for a sec. And I will start again in just a moment. So if that feels a little confusing at the moment because you haven't had a chance to work on the neighbour tone below, you can just do single notes. So you can just start off on 5, 5, 5, 5, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5. And I think, Anu, can you nod? Did you do this today? No? Oh, you didn't get to it? Hang on, I can't hear you. Oh, I'll talk to you at the end. Cool. Okay. Oh, no, I do want to hear you. Hang on, let me unmute you. Oh, it's not unmuting you.
We did a very simple version, just tapping out the 5 and then the 5, 5, 6. So we just did the basic triad and then we did the G triad.
Beautiful. That's a really good introduction. Thanks, Anu.
Yep.
Great. Great. Okay, so you can do that over this if that feels like the stage that you're at, or you can do neighbour tone below. Which I haven't written out, but Anu will work through that with you probably. Will you get a chance to work through that? Yeah. Yeah, great. So Anu will be able to reinforce the neighbour tone below with you. And then we've got this really cool sound. Hey, when we get a little bit further along with our theory, by playing the D one, like the D triad over the A minor 7 chord, you get all these really pretty color notes. It actually sounds better to my ear to play them. So I'll just finish off this session now with a little bit more of that playing so you can hear the sound of it. Then we'll stop for a quick wee break, and then we'll come back into a bit more of Sweet Sue in 301. And then I've got my diminished adventure for 301 as well. So starting off the backing track now, we're playing this embellishment exercise starting on the D triad. 2, 3, 4. G. G. Back to the top. And another D. G. And then I'll just play this for you. Get ready for the D again. It's starting now. G. Cool. How pretty is that? Doesn't it sound so nice?